Okay, team, welcome to the class. My name is Savik Datta, and I will be your trainer for Selenium with Java course. I'm going to share my screen. Just let me know if you can see my screen or not. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Sorry. Just let me know if you can see it. I can put that in the chat. Are you able to see the screen? Please confirm.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, so let me put this on the slide mode. All right, so we are going to start off with Selenium Basics to Advanced course. Obviously, this is a demo session, as well as I'm going to cover up a few core concepts that you need to understand in order to be successful in automation testing career. So I'll quickly get you an introduction for myself. I have around 11 years of experience in QA domain. I worked on with different kind of large-scale projects in different domains, like online gambling, telecommunication, then e-commerce, then experience gifting. Right now, I'm working with a digital learning company. So I live in Ireland, and I have passion to share my knowledge, and I've trained more than 600 people so far globally around the globe. In last say 3 years with different digital learning companies, and fortunately, my students did pretty well um, in their career progression. We got good feedbacks from them. They were successful in job hunting, or maybe in in working with their current project, right? So basically, I'm from India, obviously, but yeah, I'm living in Ireland for now. So this course that we are going to start off, it is designed for somebody who is um, basically planning to start their career in test automation, and they don't have any coding experience in Java or Selenium or whatsoever. We are going to start from very basics of coding with Java. We will try to build on your fundamental concepts, and then slowly move on from very beginning from a very beginner stage to an advanced stage. I'm also it can be also beneficial for somebody who is working in IT industry for quite some time, maybe in manual testing or normal functional testing, and they don't have any understanding or a working knowledge with automation testing. They want to move ahead to the automation testing profile, and they can come on to this course, because as I said, I'm going to start from very basics, so they can definitely be beneficial. And then we have also seen that this kind of courses are pretty beneficial for somebody who is in a senior level or a mid-senior level role and wants to lead an automation project. So obviously the person has is working for so many years in a functional testing role or leading a functional team, and then they got a new opportunity to lead an automation testing team, which is quite different than leading a functional testing team. And they want to come to us to understand what exactly goes behind the scene, so that they can understand the concept and then mentor their team accordingly, right? So that is the three different target audience this course is designed for. So before I move on, I would like to take a quick intro from every one of you. And I would like to know that which of these category you fall in. So could you please unmute yourself and then give me a short little introduction, like your name, your career status, and where do you live? Can we start with the first, Pavan?
Yeah, myself, Pawan. So I'm working as a junior editor in one of the Singapore-based company called Jdk.
Okay.
So I'm expecting from this course is like more in advanced level, like a
Mm-hmm.
framework thing, like how to build the framework from scratch and
Sure.
CI process kind of thing, uh, and Dockerize the test cases or something like that. I'm expecting.
Okay. Okay. So which means that you are already aware of Selenium and Java. Can I expect that?
Yeah, I am aware of Selenium and Java, and now I'm currently working on APM, mobile automation
Okay.
website.
That's good. That's good, Pavan. Good. So I'm going to unmute yourself and then probably go to the next person. Hi, Satish. Satish, can you unmute yourself and give me an introduction, please? Satish, I'm not able to unmute you. Can you unmute yourself and okay, I'll come back to Satish in a while. We have Pavan here. Hi, Pavan. Can you please give me an introduction on yourself? Pavan, you're unmuted.
Yeah, I think I'm already done. I spoke first.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, there is Pavan Yadav. Hi, Pavan. Pavan, are you on mic? Because I am able to unmute you, but I cannot hear you. Okay, not sure. Um, we have Sunny. Let me try to unmute you. Sunny, can you please unmute yourself and give me your introduction? Okay, I think I'm getting something on the chat. That's okay, Sunny, but is it possible for you to come on audio? Okay, that's fine. We have Satish here. Satish, can you tell me about yourself? Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not getting any response from Satish. That's fine. So what I will do is I will quickly move on to the next slide. And I think this is what most of us is interested about here, that what exactly we are going to cover here. So before we actually go through the course overview, as I have mentioned clearly, that this is a beginner to advanced level concept, and it is something, or the course content is designed in such a way that we cover we start from very beginning. We start with what is Java and what is Eclipse, and then slowly build on top of it and come to a situation where we can design automation frameworks. Now, to make it very clear for everybody, we will definitely design an end-to-end automation framework that will be good enough for your test cases to um, you know to have a runner option and to basically extract the data, generate report, and then run your test cases with the different advanced concepts of TestNG and so on and so forth. But we are not covering Dockerize test case execution. I want this to be very clear about the course content, because in this 30-hour course, it is not possible for us to cover anything in terms of DevOps. If I have to set up a Dockerize system, I need to start off with a DevOps concept, and in 30 hours course, it is not possible. So this is what we are going to work on from the very beginning. We will start with automation testing introduction. We'll go to Java. We will learn Java in Eclipse. We will understand what is OOPS concepts, advanced level of OOPS concepts, how to use them in automation testing. We'll work with object locators and strategies, how to write object locators correctly, and different type of strategies that are available. We will work end-to-end with Webdriver interface and try to understand what exactly Webdriver interface supports. We will work on test automation framework and what kind of components a framework needs in order to run your test cases from scratch. I mean, you can build your test cases and then execute your test cases, how you can manage your dependencies, how you can run an entire test suite, how you can generate test reports, so on and so forth. Automation framework design and implementation using TestNG. TestNG is an open source automation framework. So we will write a custom framework on top of TestNG. Integrating standalone scripts with automation framework. So we will initially write some standalone scripts without a TestNG framework, and then we will try to integrate them with the existing automation framework. We will report them using something called as an extent reporting, which is a third-party reporting tool. And then end-to-end from day one to day n, we will work on live projects. Obviously, it's all about practical, nothing much on theories. I mean, theory and practical, obviously, but more practical. So this is what the course content looks like. I want to know from you guys whether you think that this course content is something that you will be okay with. So I see Rishabh joined in. Hi Rishabh, I'm okay. I don't think he is able to hear me. Rishabh, can you hear me? Please confirm if you can hear me. Hi Aditya. I'm just trying to confirm if you are Aditya from LearnBay or you're the participant.
Hi, sorry. Yeah, I'm from LearnBay.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's fine. Okay. So for somebody who just joined in, I don't think Rishabh is able to hear me because I don't see his mic option. Just 1 minute. Okay, so Pavan, I'm going to work on, we will start with TestNG framework, and we will build our test cases on top of it. We will use we will customize our TestNG framework in order to extract data from Excel files to generate some kind of HTML reporting write the end-to-end scenarios with the automation framework. So your configuration files, your dependency management, reporting, your test case, page object model implementation, everything goes around the TestNG based framework. Does that answer your question, Pavan? It is going to be a hybrid framework, just not data driven. Obviously data driven, but it's more of a hybrid framework where we will be working on page object model that will be built on top of TestNG framework, and then we can extract the data from Excel or XML or maybe a JSON or whatever data sources which we can plan, and then we are going to use data provider to extract the data and then run our test cases with those data. So that is the plan. Does that answer your question, Pavan? Pavan, I'm not getting. Okay, that's good. All right. So, any other questions from anybody else here? I see Shekhar joined and I see Sunny here. I don't know about Rishabh. Aditya, is it possible for you to reach back to Rishabh? I think he was not able to hear me, or maybe some technical issues there. Can you talk to Rishabh and ask him to join back if possible? Hi, Shekhar. I'm Souvik. I'm the trainer for this particular course. This is the high-level course content that we are going to go through. This is a high-level course content. We'll go much in details. So I'm just trying to, get an introduction from everybody present in the class, and then just going through the course material for now. And then we will actually start with the demo where I will start with the initial level of automation testing and so on and so forth, right? So can you just quickly give me your introduction, Shekhar? Like, what's your name? Where are you from? What is your career status? Why are you here? Those kind of things. Can you come on audio and confirm that? I've unmuted you, Shekhar. If you can speak, then it'll really help.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can, yes.
So my name is Shekhar. I am working as a DevOps architect for one of the biggest FMCG clients. And why I'm here, because we are also introducing BDD in our development strategy.
Okay.
So to move to that shift, we are not using Selenium, but we are using Protector and other tools, the similar one. And language we are using is Java itself. So I am working on that thing, how we can leverage this BDD framework in our existing pipeline, and how can we make development faster.
Okay, so the course that we have designed here, or the slide that you see here, it was not a plan to add a BDD style framework. We were planning to use TestNG based framework, which is not exactly a BDD. I mean, if I say BDD, then I would have spoken about Cucumber. But if that is the demand of the class, then I don't have any problem to switch to BDD as well. But everybody present here, I would like to make it very clear for everybody that this course is designed for somebody who comes with no experience, and then we will slowly build on top of it and go to the advanced level. So if someone is coming to learn just the framework, then it will not be possible for me to start the discussion just on the framework level, because I have to cater to everybody's needs here. So somebody who is coming with no experience, I have to start with very basic of creating, simple Java programs and then build on top of it so that I can build the foundation and then move on to framework designing. So it is a 30-hour course. So things could be a little bit repetitive for somebody who has a little bit of experience, but to keep a parity in the entire team who is joining here, we have to start from very basic and then we will go to the advanced level. I just want to make this clear to everyone present here.
Yep.
I hope that is clear. Correct? Yeah.
Yep. No problem.
That's
So
good.
you can mute me now. Yep.
Yeah. You can also mute yourself. If you go to the participant section there, you have an option to mute yourself. Anyway, I'll do
Yeah.
it.
Actually, it's grayed out for me, so that's why I'm facing some issue. Yep.
Okay. I'll mute you. Thank you. All right. So that's with that. So let's then move on to the next slide. Okay, so we will basically start our discussion with Java. What's Java? And we will slowly build on top of it, okay? So obviously we, at this stage, we all know that Java is an object-oriented programming language which follows object-oriented programming principles, okay? I mean, principles of programming. So what exactly we mean object-oriented programming? We will talk about that in details. But for now, we can just live with the discussion or the description that Java is basically a object-oriented programming language, and it is also platform independent. Okay, so which means you design a project, a Java project in a Mac or a Linux, and you can run it in a machine, which means that your Java is a platform independent programming language, right? So Java as a platform, Java provides an environment, okay? We call this environment as a Java runtime environment. And this Java runtime environment includes something called as Java virtual machine and its libraries, okay, or binaries. So Java virtual machine is nothing but a layer sitting on top of your operating system. It's an abstraction or a layer sitting on top of your operating system. Whatever operating system it is, Java will create a layer on top of it. And then when we launch Java program, Java will run that program in the virtual machine, Java virtual machine. It is not exactly interacting directly with the operating system. It is running its program in that layer of the Java virtual machine that is created on top of your operating system. And that is how it is basically a platform independent, because the layer that sits on top of operating system is platform independent. So when we go a little deeper, we will understand that the layer that we have or the layer that we install in our system will be dependent on your operating system that you are using. So when you run a Java program, you just run a Java program on the virtual machine itself, not on the operating system. And that is how it is platform independent. We will go a little deeper in now. So I'm just trying to put a small little diagram here. So for example, you have a Windows machine and you're writing your Java program. So when you write a Java program, what you do is you basically give an extension to it. You say .java file, as simple as that. And then what you do is you basically use something called as Java C, which is a exe that will convert your plain and simple English-based .java file to a .class file. Now, what is .class file? .class file is a compiled version of your Java file. And then this class file will be executed inside the JVM, which is dependent on your operating system. So you create any Java file inside a Windows machine, you compile that, or you send that file .java file to your friend who is in a Mac machine, and then he compiles it with the Java C, and then he runs it because his JVM will be in between the .class file and the operating system, and then you will be able to run the program. That is the basic concept of it. So what we will do is we will probably try to prove this to you, that how exactly this happens. But before that, we can try to understand how to install Java in our machine. I'm using a Windows machine here. This is the link that I have already mentioned. You can actually go to this particular link. So just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to this particular link here. And if I reach out to this link, I see that there are two different things ideally. One is called as Java Development Kit, or JDK. Another is Java Runtime Environment. Now, JDK and JRE is a little bit different. JDK is something that we need as a Java developer because we will be writing Java programs. So we need a Java development kit. And Java runtime environment is just the environment that will execute your program. Correct? So if I want to actually put this into a normal paint, I would just say that I'll just take the same example. You are a Java developer, you are using a Windows machine here, and you have a JDK in your system, which is something that you used to build your program, which is .java file. So you can say test.java. You have built this particular program, and then your friend, who is not a developer, but he wants to run your program inside a Mac, and he's just not a developer, he just wants to run it, and you are just giving this file to this person here. So what he can do is he can simply go ahead and he can compile this. So it is called test.java. He can simply compile this, and he can run it against something called as JRE, which means he doesn't need to install JDK. If he just installs JRE version for Mac, he should be able to run that .java file in his system. That's the basic concept. JDK and JRE. JDK is required for somebody who wants to develop the program with .java extension, and JRE is something just in runtime environment who will be executing it. That's the simple explanation about JDK and JRE. So I'm going to go back to the screen here again. So JRE, as I said, this component is required to run Java applications on your machine, and JDK is the component required to develop and run Java application on your machine. So you said develop and run. Why? Because we will see later on that JDK itself contains JRE. I will prove that to you, that JDK itself installs the packages for JRE, okay? Which is why you can develop and run the program. Pretty simple. So how do we install it? Sorry, just give me a second. So how do we install it? We go back to our normal link that I have shared with you in the slide, and then you got to choose which version of Java you are supposed to install. Here it is JDK 12. That's perfectly fine. You can also go down to JDK or GRE. I mean, there are multiple different versions available here in this list. I would prefer to go to JDK 8 because that is more or less pretty stable. It came some time back, and by now it is pretty stable version. So I will go with JDK, and you can install a JDK. Once you start installing it, you will just see that you will be asked to choose which version of JDK, I mean, which platform in which platform you're trying to install your JDK. So you have to just say you accept the license, and then you need to choose which platform you are actually using. Depending on that, you will basically install the JDK in your system. So for me, it is a Windows 64. How do I know it is Windows 64? Pretty simple. If I can go back to my computer programming, I mean, my computers, and then go to the properties, I should be able to see that I am using the system type as 64-bit, right? That is a 64-bit that I have. For you as well, it could be a 32-bit or a 64-bit. You have to see that in your Windows machine. And there are other ways to find that option in your Linux or Mac based system. And you can just choose which version of Java JDK you need to install, and then you can just simply download the exe file. When you start downloading the exe file, you will just say, so I have this Oracle sign-on which I need to do. You can definitely get it done, which is a very simple step. I don't want to go over it and kill the time. You can simply create an account in Oracle, and then you can install or just download the exe file. You can just say next, and you will be installing the Java in your system. But it is just not the Java installation that you are concerned about. You're also concerned about one more thing, and that is to set up your environment variable. What is environment variable? Environment variable is just an option provided in your operating system to make any program accessible from anywhere in the system. What do I mean by that? So I mean pretty simple stuff here. I'm going to go back to my computer, and if I go to my C drive inside program files, I will see that there is a Java folder. When you install .exe file, you will be able to install it in the similar location. And once you are here in this particular Java location, you have JDK and JRE. That's fine. I have installed both, but only one is sufficient for me. So first and foremost, you can see that JRE package comes along with JDK. So I don't need to install JRE separately. So that's why I was saying that JDK can be used to develop and execute your program. On top of that, you need to basically say that where exactly your Java is located. You need to mention that information in the environment variables. You need to set up an environment variable and you need to mention that where exactly your Java is located so that you can run a Java program from anywhere in the system. Okay, how to do that? Very simple thing. You have to go back to the same location again where you have your system's advanced settings. So I'm here in the same place here under systems, and then go to the system advanced settings. Inside this section, you have environment variables. In the environment variables, you will see that there are two different sections. One is called user variables and one is called system variables. What is user variable? User variables are the variables that is pretty specific to the user of this particular system. So you know very well that you can create multiple user accounts to log into your operating system. So this is my operating system inside which I'm the only one user. So I have only one user section where there are certain variables or environment variables which got auto-generated. I didn't do anything on that, and those are user variables, right? But there is also something called a system variables. System variables is pretty much global to any user type. Okay, whether you join or your friend access your system, they should be able to get access to all the environment variables which are configured here, right? How do you do that? Very simple. You need to say new. In the system variable section, you need to say new. You say Java underscore home. And then you need to pass on the variable value, and which is the value where your Java is located till this section, not the bin, not inside the bin, till the location your Java JDK is. Just go inside Java JDK folder. That's it. And give this location here in the variable value, and then just say OK. And that will be your Java environment variable setup. First part done. Once you're done with that, you can see that it's already done for me. Okay. Once you're done with that, the another thing that you have to do is you have to add that information inside the path variable. Okay. There is another thing called path. Inside the path variable, you can see that I have mentioned my Java home with this syntax. Okay, what is the syntax? You're basically saying that the variable, the environment variable that I have designed or I've created, Java underscore home, inside that there is a bin folder. I want to point my JDK installation to the bin folder. That is what you are basically trying to say. And why exactly I am saying percentile Java underscore home percentile? Because I'm using this part as a variable, which means tomorrow, if I change the location of my Java installation and I simply update the Java home location, I don't need to again come back to path and change that, because it is already a variable which I'm pointing to, which means the first part of this text will be replaced by the information that I have updated for Java underscore home variable value, right? So that's pretty much about it. You just have to follow these two steps, simple steps. Anyway, this session is getting recorded. You can follow the steps pretty much easily, very easily, and you can configure Java in your system if it is already not configured. These are only two steps. You say OK, and you're done with it. How do you verify that your Java is installed? Very simple. You can go to any drive. Say I'm going to a command prompt here. I'm right now in the C drive. I can just say Java space minus version, and if I hit enter, it gives me the version that is installed in my system, which means my Java is installed in the system. I can go to D drive or any drive that is available, and I can still run the same command, and I can see that it is globally accessible in my system anywhere from any drive. I should be able to run any Java command, right? That is what I wanted to do, and hence I have completed the setup for the environment variable. Simple and straight. Okay, I'm talking for quite some time. I want to know if you have any questions so far. Just give me 2 seconds, guys. Yeah, Chetna, this will be a recorded session, as I told you, and certainly Aditya, who is part of LearnBay, I think they will be able to share the demo with you so that you can take a look. You joined a little late, but I've started from very scratch. So just look at the video from the very start. Aditya, can you please answer that question to everybody, how you are planning to share the video across the team? Aditya? Okay, for some reason I'm not able to unmute you.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you are, yeah.
So we'll upload this in some drive and give the drive link so that everybody can access.
Yeah. So as the answer, I think it answered the question. So you will be getting an access to a OneDrive link or Google Drive link, and you will be able to access the videos. Yeah. Good stuff. Thank you. So any questions, please? I mean, in terms of whatever I'm saying so far, whatever I have completed so far. Any questions on that? Yes, no, maybe. Any questions, please? I really want this to be an interactive session for the class. So I would appreciate if you are open and share your thoughts so that I can, understand your thought process and probably help you with it. What will JDK have apart from JRE? Okay, so you have to basically take a look at the other part of the video, the initial part of the video, where I have explained that why do we need a JDK, why do we need a JRE. JDK is basically a system that will help you to develop your Java code. What exactly are the binaries that is there with JDK? I'm not aware of, and I don't think that it is absolutely needed for me to understand what is there as a part of JDK. It is irrelevant. JDK is a system that is helping you to develop Java program. That is more important. It is important to build complex logic by using JDK, but how JDK is built, it is not of my or anybody's concern, to be very true. How JDK works, certainly it is required, and I have explained that as a part of it, of the video in the initial stage, so you can take a look at it. JRE is a runtime environment which compiles your code, and then you can simply run your code inside a Java virtual machine, which is an abstraction on top of your operating system. So that's how JDK and JRE is different. JRE is part of JDK, as I have already mentioned. So moving on to the next slide there. We will try to understand the development process, Java development process, and very simple 3 steps. We will create a Java file with .java extension. Then we will compile the Java file to a .class file. We will use something called as javac. And then we will run the class file. That's all. Is a very simple Java 3-step process to run any program. So we will try to compile this. We'll try to go on with this. I'm going to go to the LearnBay folder of mine, and you can see that. Okay, I'll just do that again. I am going to create a simple text file. Let's give the text file name as first Java program. Okay, normal text file, first Java program, nothing fancy. In this particular program, I'm going to write some syntax, which probably will not make much sense to you, or maybe it will. But this syntax is basically required for you to kick off any Java program. Okay, it is the kickoff point or the starting point for any Java program. So we can just simply write public class first Java program. Okay, I'm going to keep a couple of braces. What is public? What is class? What is the name that I have added? Why I have added this curly braces? I will discuss all in all in details. But for now, we'll just follow up. What am I doing? So I'm going to write again one more thing: public static void main, which is a kickoff method or a kickoff point for any Java program. And then this method will have an argument or a parameter. What is argument? What is parameters? We will talk about that later on. But for now, just follow. What am I doing? And then here, I'm going to write system dot out dot print ln. And here I'll say, this is my first Java program. Okay, simple. What am I trying to do? I'll just try to explain that to you. As I said, I have created a class, a simple Java class. What is class? We will talk in details later, but it is, for now, you can just think that it is just a section in our Java program that can hold some methods and some variables. Here we have a main method, which is nothing but a kickoff starting point for Java program. Here I'm just trying to print one statement, a simple statement, using system.out.println method, which will print some text in the console. Okay, that's all the program is doing. How it is doing, what is system, what is out dot, what is println, we will try to understand this later on, but I'm just trying to get into the point first. This is the normal text file that I've created, and I'm going to save this file with the .java extension, right? Because as I said, this is a .text extension. I'm going to save this as a .java extension. So I'll just say all files here and say .java. Save. And I have just created .java file there, right? I cannot run this file until and unless I compile this to a machine language, something that system will understand. This is a plain and simple. If I open this .java file, it is, sorry, I'm opening this in an editor. Let me stop that. Okay, open with Notepad. If I just open that, it is the exact same thing that you have just seen, right? Normal English. But ideally, what I want to do is I want to compile this so that I can run it. How can I compile it? Very simple. I will go to the location here and open up my command prompt so I can compile this. So cmd. So if I just say dir, I can see that there are multiple files existing in this particular folder. First, java program.java is a file there. and I'm going to compile it. How do I compile it? Java C is the execution or the program that I will be using. Java C first program.java and hit enter. If I do that, it is doing something in the background, which I'm not able to see, which we will not be able to see, but the execution is completed. Now let's go back to the same directory again and just see what happened. If I go back to the LearnBay folder, I can see that it is compiled to a .class file. Okay. Now this class file, if I try to open it after the compilation is successful, let's see what happens. Open with Notepad. We see that it has been compiled and we don't understand anything of it because it's a machine language. You see that? Java C did that for us. Now, once it is done, I need to run it. Sorry about that. Let me close it. Okay, so I need to run it. How do I run it? Very simple. I can again go back to the same location and then just say Java first program dot class, and you don't have to say dot class. You can just say first Java program, and you can see that it printed the text in the console. Okay, somebody unmuted themselves. Okay, Pavan, you have any question? Pavan, you're unmuted. Okay. All right. Any questions in this particular section of how to compile it? Yeah, Chetna, go on. What's your question? Can you come on audio? You're unmuted. Can you tell me your questions?
No. Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Tell me.
Yeah, see, many times I get the error telling class path not found, class path not found. What does that mean?
It clearly means that where exactly you're looking for that particular. So it can happen for many reasons. So it could be a possibility that some kind of library that you are using, you have not added that library to your project. It is clearly saying class path not found, which means the class that you're trying to use is not added to the project, or you're not looking in the right place. That's the situation. But I have to exactly see the program that you're trying to run, and we have to see that why exactly you are getting it. But ideally, it is because of the fact that the library or the class that you're trying to access is not present in your project.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
But if you show the program, probably I can fix it for you.
Okay, okay. It could be any JR files, no? JRE files, any jar files also, right? Any
It could
jar.
be jar. Yeah, it can be for anything.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, thank you.
Okay. Any other question, guys? Sunny, Satish, Pavan. Any other questions? Guys, any questions? I'm just trying to keep it as interactive as possible, but so let me know if you have any doubt. Let's move on to the next part of it. So the same thing that exactly just happened there. I'm just trying to put this in a picture. So Java code, which you got compiled with the Java C compiler, converted to a .class file, and then we executed against the JVM. So that's pretty much what exactly happened in the previous slide. Next thing, we will be talking about Eclipse, which is an IDE. IDE is nothing but an integrated development environment where you are going to build your Java program, and you can run it against the IDE as well. So that is your IDE that I'm going to use here, which is Eclipse. You can download the Eclipse from this particular link, which I have mentioned. The IDE can be used to write your code, to compile your code, and to debug the project. Right? Debugging means that when you are getting some kind of a mismatch between your expected and actual, that's where you go and start debugging and see why you are not getting the actual as it is expected, right? So I will talk about how you can debug different debugging mechanisms that are available in details later on. But ideally, these are three different things that the Eclipse or any IDE will do that for you. Also, there is one more thing called as IntelliSense. IntelliSense is present in any IDE that is used for, that is used for basically help you to speed up your development process. So you will see later on that whenever we are going to work with an IDE, it will give you a lot of suggestions, and you can simply pick up the right suggestion. You don't have to remember every method that is available there. You can simply look at the suggestion list, and then you can choose one from it, right? So that is an IDE. We can install the IDE, very simple. You can go to this particular link here, and you can download the IDE depending on your operating system. Once you are installed with the IDE, there is not much of a installation issue. Just normal next should be done, should be fine. And once you're done with the installation, you can simply open up your Eclipse, which looks like something like this. I'm just triggering the Eclipse. So this is the section which basically asks you to choose a workspace. Workspace means a folder inside which you are going to keep your projects. You can create as many as folder or directories you want, and you can create as many as workspace you want. So ideally, I'm creating a workspace now. So say I'm having a workspace here saying Eclipse workspace learn way. You can create any number of workspace you want and say launch. This will open up a section that will be used for our further development. Eclipse is a heavy program. It takes some time to load. When you launch the application, you see something called as a welcome page. You can cross it out. You can just say you don't want to see this on startup. Uncheck this box and cross it out so that you don't see it. I will make you a little bit of aware of this particular IDE. What you have in the left panel is basically a project explorer, which means you can create multiple projects on the left-hand side, multiple projects. I will tell you what is a project means. In between this middle panel, that is where it is your code editor. You can write your code here. You don't need this right-hand panel here, so you can cross it out. You don't need that. In the bottom section, it can be used as a console to look at the result of your program, or it can be also used to debug your program. There is something called as expressions, which we will learn later on, and then we can see how to debug them. Okay, debug using them. Okay. So in the left-hand panel, you see it is telling you that what kind of project you are planning to create. So I will just say create a project. I don't want to go on anything else for now. I'll just say create a project. And then it will give me a wizard to choose. And I can say Java project is what I'm looking for. So I'll go inside that. And then once I go inside that, it will then ask me to say, tell me the project name. So for now, I'll just say demo class. That's the first project that I'm creating. There are a few more information here in this section. It is saying that what kind of environment, runtime environment you want to choose in order to run your programs. You can choose, so 1.88 is the latest one that we have. You can choose like something older version as well, 1.6, 1.7. Obviously, I'm concerned about 1.8. And I can say finish. This will create a Java project in my Explorer. Okay, this is a very common window which will keep on popping in front of you. Just say, it says that what kind of perspective you want your IDE to be in. There are different type of perspective you can launch your IDE with. So one is a development perspective, one is a debugging perspective. So we will just say that I want to keep it as a default perspective. I don't want to switch between debugging or normal development perspective. I want to keep it as simple default perspective. So just say, remember my decision, and say, no, you don't want to deal with perspective anymore because it will keep it simple for you. So I have just created a simple Java project here. For now, there is nothing inside this project at all. If I want to take you inside this project as inside the actual directory, I can do that by right-clicking on the project. Just a minute, it's taking some time. Yeah. So right-click on this and say show in Explorer, which means it will open the project with respect to the Windows Explorer. And here you see that I have a normal folder called demo class. And inside the demo class, there is two different folders that we are concerned about. One is a bin folder, which is empty. Another one is a source folder, which is empty as well. I can see a SRC folder in this left-hand side, but I do not see a bin folder. Bin folder is basically a binary folder. I will tell about that in a while, why I need that. There is something more as well here. We have a .settings folder, .class path, and .project. These files and folders are used by Eclipse itself for its internal management, which we are not concerned about. We are more concerned about what goes inside the SRC folder and bin folder. So for now, you can see that the SRC folder is empty. Okay, SRC means source. It's empty. I'm going to just create a simple file inside this class file, and I'm going to say that hello, normal class file, hello. And I'm going to say that I need this hello class file with a main method and finish. So I just created a hello class file, and then you see that it got created inside something called as a package. What is package? How to use them? I will talk about that in details later on. But for now, just see that a hello.java got created. I will just go back to the same location one more time here in the, not here, sorry, in the Eclipse itself. And I will just show you what exactly happened behind the screen when I created this particular file. So demo class, there is something called a source, as I told you already. If I open that up, I have a source folder, and then there is a hello class, hello.java file, right? In this particular location. That's pretty fine. But if I just go one level up, I have the bin folder. If I open this, you see what happened. You see that there is a file called hello, but this hello is not a Java file anymore. It is not a Java file, it is a class file. So what exactly happened here is Eclipse took care of your compilation. As soon as you created a .java file, Eclipse took care of compiling it to a class file on its own. So your source file and your bin file is basically a mirror image. It just converts that to a .class file. Okay, so I'm just going to see if there is any chat. Yes, Chetna, you can have n number of projects inside a workspace. No problem at all. So far, any questions, guys? Any questions so far? Please shoot. So I'm just going to write a simple sysout. You can use a shortcut. That's why your Eclipse or an ID is useful. So what I did, I just said SYSO, and I hit Control space, and it just gave me the rest of the text, right? It is very handy. So I'm going to say my first, okay, just say hello Java, right? Simple program, and I can simply run it. I can run it by saying run as Java application, and you will see that in the console at the bottom, you have the printed statement, hello Java. So any questions so far, guys? Please let me know.
Hello.
Tell me, Chetna.
Yeah, so always once Java is created, class file is created, right? So here when you're create a class you're doing, this is one class, and class file, both are different, right? Both are different.
Yeah, but you don't have to bother about class file, because behind the scene, Eclipse is taking care of creating it, right? Class file is definitely required, otherwise your machine will not understand what exactly you're trying to execute. This statement wouldn't have printed if there is no class file. Because we have the class file, machine understood that there is a print statement coming in, and it just printed for us in the console. It executed that particular syntax for us. That's the reason why I have shown that program there in the command prompt, where I have simply compiled a normal .java file with a Java C compiler or a exe, and then converted that to a class file. You got it, right?
Yeah. So here, no, automatically the class file will be there. Then how that error, class file not found, that error will come? Because
no, it's not about that. You're confusing. You're confusing. So class file not found. Class file not found means very simple. The class file that you are trying to execute is not present in your project. If you show me what exactly is the problem, I will fix it for you. But just by, the class file not found error can come for many different reasons. One of it is because of the reason that the class that you're trying to access, is not present in your project. That is the reason why you're getting it, right? So, so if you show me the exact problem in your system, I can fix that for you.
Okay, okay, okay. So this is actually currently now in my office, in my project, first thing I will get is class path. That class path not first thing I'll get is that.
Yeah, so which clearly means that you are not doing some steps correctly. The library or the class that you're trying to refer is not present in your project, which is why you are having that problem. Until unless you show me what is the problem, I cannot fix it. It can happen for many different reasons. Or if you just can tell me what exactly you're trying to do, just by saying the error, I will not understand it. You have to tell me why this error is coming or how this error is coming, like what steps you are performing, and then this error is coming, and then probably I can tell you how to fix it.
Okay. Okay. Can you give me one or two examples of when such situation arises? One or two examples.
As I told you, if you are not, say you are trying to work with some kind of a library, a third-party library in your project, but you have not imported that library in your project, and you have just simply created a program against that library, but the library is not present in your project. It is a possibility that you will be getting that particular error, the class path not found, class file not found. Is it possible for you to show me that example, or is it possible for?
Yeah, I remember now exactly. I imported it, then it was fine.
So you have the answer then. So if you're not importing it correctly, then obviously it will not work out. Okay, any other question?
Okay, so yeah.
Any other question?
Okay, what could be other reason? One is if it is not imported, other could be?
It's more or less on that ground. Either you are not working, either you are not adding the right library to your project, or you're not importing the right class and you're trying to access that class. Ideally, these two reasons which I know of in my experience that can bring up that particular error. Okay.
Okay. Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? Pavan, Satish, Sunny, anybody else? I'm not getting any questions from Satish, Sunny, and Pavan. I'm just trying to understand if it is all understandable or was the situation. Yes, Sunny, you want to say something? I'm not able to hear you. If you're saying something, I'm not able to hear you. I see you're unmuted, but okay. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Moving to the next part, benefits of using Eclipse, as I was telling you. IntelliSense is a code completion tool that provides suggestion to code writers about available options. Debugging is a mechanism using which you can debug and write the correct code. So when you are, as I was telling you, when it is expected and when it is actual, if you're not getting the expected as actual, then you debug, and Eclipse will have different option for debugging. And then you have the integrated build. So when your project is created, you can build the project with the integrated system already, and then you can run your program. So that's pretty much about it. What is a main method? Let's try to understand a main method. Main method is nothing but a simple entry point for any Java program to start off. So as I am mentioning here, that it signals a JVM, that program starts from here. As simple as that. In the main method, you are going to see that there is an argument, string array argument. You can see that. string array argument. I will try to probably show you what exactly this is, main method is, and what is this arguments are doing. So what I can do is I can simply go back to my program, and I can simply try to, try to print out whatever is there as a part of the argument. So I can say something like this. So argument plus args, because that is the parameter that is coming through the main method. And I'm going to say, as it is an array, and I'm going to say that, so my plan is to supply two different string values. It's a string array. It is a string array that you can see as a part of the main method. So I'm going to say that I'm going to send two different values inside this main method. So the first argument is at index 0, and the second argument is at index 1. What is index 1? What is array? We will talk about that in details later on. But for now, all am I trying to show you is that there is a possibility to send some arguments or some parameters inside the main method through this parameter that a main method is accepting. So that's the hello class that I have. I'm going to go back to my location. So let's go back here. I'll go back to the location here. And in this location, so I'm going back to this location. If you see dir, there are many of these, there are all the files and folders available. So I'll go to cd src. That is the location where I have my hello.java file. All I have to do is that I have to run the Java file. Sorry, I will not run the Java file from source. I will run the Java from bin, right? Because bin is the location that has the class version of it. So cd bin. And if I go inside this, I see that there is a hello.class. So I simply say Java, sorry, not Java, it's Java, Java, hello. And then inside that, I'm going to pass two arguments. I'll say first argument is Selenium. And second argument is with, okay, these two arguments I'm trying to pass, and hit enter. And you see what exactly happened. I'm able to pass on two of these arguments using that main method, because the main method was the initial starting point. I'm able to pass on these two arguments as a part of string because it is a string array. And then it got printed for me. The hello Java is already there as a part of the main method, and then argument was able to simply access them. If I simply try to run it, if I simply try to add another text in between saying Selenium and Java. Okay, so you see there are three different texts I'm trying to send in the program. Hit enter. There is no problem. There is no problem because of the reason that you can send an array of strings inside the program. But what if I send, instead of 2, what if I send just 1? If I send 2 or more, there is no problem. But if I just say send only 1, Chetna, this is a question for you. Can you tell me what will happen if I am just sending 1 argument here?
It will throw an error.
Why?
I'm not sure.
Why do you think that it will throw an error?
Because it's expecting 2 arguments.
Okay. It is expecting 2 arguments, but it is expecting 2 arguments, but if you look at the program, it is just 1 single argument, right? A string of array, correct? Yeah, I'm trying to access 0 and 1 index. So if I just go back to my code again here, and if I just run this, what happened? Why it is not executing? Selenium. You see that? I get an exception there saying, so the first line got printed, the second line got printed, and the third time when it was supposed to print something else, I'm getting an exception saying array index out of bound exception. Why? The reason for that is I'm trying to access the index number 1, but there is no index number 1 because I have just sent only 1 argument, that is index 0. That is the reason I was able to just get the print on this line and not on this line. And when I tried to access it, it just gave me an error. As simple as that. Makes sense, Chetna? Or somebody, I mean, for everybody, is it fine? Is that clear to everybody in the chat, please? Okay. That's fine, Chetna. Anyway, it will be, oh, okay, that's fine. Join back, please. Thank you. All right, so that's with that. Now, I will move on to the next part of it. We will try to understand what is variables. I don't know, I have few more slides to actually complete, so I think it will go for another half an hour at least. So we have something called as variables. What is variables? Variables are nothing but a placeholder in Java inside which you can fill in some values, as simple as that. You need to specify what kind of value you want to fill into that particular variable. It's a memory location or a memory block that is assigned by the name of the variable. So you say the type of the variable as int, and the name is the name of the variable. So you're basically creating a variable of type integer, and marks is the name of the variable, as simple as that. As you can see that variables are referenced by name. It holds a value, and then you can say what type of variable you want to basically store. We can have different types of variables depending on what is your requirement. You have integer, you have float, you have string, you have boolean, you have character, you have long. More or less, these are different type of variables that we have. So for different type of requirements, you need to specify what type of variable you want to choose. As simple as that. Float is basically used for storing a decimal value. Okay, integers are pretty much a whole number. Boolean is basically just to check whether it is true or false, and the string is basically to store a set of characters together, string values. Okay, so what is a class? What we can do is we can quickly create a class and just say test, or just say, yeah, test variables. So with the main method here, I'm just going to write some basic stuff. So we can create, there are two different type of variables ideally. One is called primitive type and non-primitive type. This is just a demo session, so I'm not going too much in details. I mean, whatever is required, I'm going on that. But once we start the class, we will have a better discussion on it. So in terms of primitive type, we have different keywords to specify the variable. So int number equals 100. What am I doing here is I'm saying that int is the type of the variable, num is the name of the variable, and you're initializing it, you're giving some initial value to it with the value, with some kind of a relevant value. I cannot say int num equals to 100. That gives me an error because I'm supposed to store a number there. Okay, it clearly says mismatch. So I will have to give the right value there. So int num, then we have, say, float. Okay, there are different type of variables actually in terms of only holding numbers. So we have int, we have short, num a or num short, and I can give some value like 120. So I'm giving some value here, a long value with integer, that's fine. With num short, if I try to give, so if you see, if I go beyond this point, I'm getting an error. Why? I'm getting an error because num short, every type of variable that we have, they have some kind of index, or not index, a length that it can expect, right? It can accept as a value. So everybody has some kind of a dimension. Depending on your requirement, you will choose what kind of variable you want to work with. So for example, you want to work with somebody's, I don't know, maybe number of students in a particular batch, okay, in a particular batch of an university or of a college. So you can go for a num short. Maybe you want to just choose, depending on your requirement, right? So you want to probably say, we have something called as byte as well. So I say num byte, and here you want to say, you want to store somebody's age. So you can see 100 is fine. But if I go to 1000, then that's a problem. So that means you can store at the max till, I think, 999. No, not even that. 100, 150. No, I think 100 is what you can store at the max. Okay, so somebody's age you can store using num byte. Depending on your requirement, you can choose different type of values, right? Now, and then we have long, right? So long is something basically num long, and you're just saying that you want to store distance between two galaxies. So you see, I'm able to store a huge number there. Yeah. That's pretty much what integer is having. I think. Just a minute. Yeah. So what you do is if you add a suffix at the end, say L, what you're making, if you're not making it, if you're not adding an L at the end, if you're not making a L and at the end, then this long, even if you're declaring it as long, it will be still working as an integer. You see the same amount of value I can pass on here. But if I want to work it as a long, actual long, then you can just say L here, and then you can say how many ever zeros you want to put. Then it becomes a long. You see, you can talk about, yeah, so that's the breakpoint till here. Okay, so different distance between two galaxy or two planet is what you can describe with a long, right? This is basically for integers. We have characters to say what type of character you want to put. So A is a character, say char, cha, whatever, right? That's a character, and then we have Boolean status equals true or false, whatever, right? And these are basically the things that comes under primitive type. And non-primitive type is something that we are going to talk about a lot. But for now, just say that string is a non-primitive type. So you can say names or name, and you can just say a name there, right? So string, so it's a primitive and non-primitive type of data. And then if you want to print them out through a console, it's pretty simple. You just say sysout and just say that you want to print the value of any variable. So just say num long, right? And just if I just run this, run as Java application, I get the value. You see, I get the value without L at the end, because L is just required for me to say that it is a long type. Simple. Okay. Any questions, guys? Okay. I'll take that as a no. I'll go to the next topic, which is which will be what is a class. So what is a class? Class is nothing but a blueprint which individual objects are created, from which an individual objects are created. So what I mean by that is we are going to create a template, okay? And the template will then be used n number of times with different type of data sets to create a specific version of that object, a specific version of that template. Not template, the class is a template. You're creating an instance of that class by supplying different dimensions of data inside it, and then you can basically create multiple different clones of that particular class file. That is basically a class, more or less. We will talk about that in detail. So for example, here you can see that I'm trying to create a rectangle class. A rectangle represents a closed two-dimensional shape which has length and width. There could be many rectangles, each having different length and width, but at the end, they will follow the same blueprint of a rectangle. Correct? So as we said, is a blueprint of an entity, which means that we can use the same blueprint and create Sorry, can you hear me, guys? Can you hear me? Hello. Okay. Okay. So did you understand what did I say about the class and the rectangle class? Or do you want me to repeat? Do you want me to repeat? Okay. So what I have done is I've created a rectangle class, which is basically a template, as I was telling you. Every class is having a scope. What do you mean by scope? I mean the flower, I mean the curly brace, the starting and end is basically the scope of this particular rectangle class. Whatever is between the scope of the rectangle class is basically the class member. So public void if rectangle is a method that will determine whether the rectangle is actually a rectangle or not, depending on what kind of value I set up. And again, I'm going to create another method called if square. So I'm going to write some if statements. I will talk about if statements later on once we start with the actual class, but I'm just writing some if statement to say that if this actually a rectangle or not. So I say if length is not equals to width, then I can say it is a rectangle. So I'm just saying a printout statement is rectangle. It is a rectangle. Else not a rectangle. It is not a rectangle. Similarly, a same statement goes in here. If length equals to width, if all the sides are same, then it is a square. It is not a square. Simple and straight. Got it? Now, that is what is this class going to do. Also, I'm going to have another method here in order to set the value inside these variables. So I can say, or let's not do it. We will just do it on runtime. Let's not do it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, so I've created a simple class that has length, width, and then two methods. They are all class members. Okay, they are all class members of the rectangle class. I'm going to create a new class here. And this is the class which says test rectangle. Test rectangle is having a method called as main method, finish. So I have created a main method with the test rectangle class. All I have to do is I have to create an instance of the class rectangle or an object of the class rectangle. What is object, how it is created, where it is located, how it is done. I will talk in details about it, but on the demo section, it is just kind of a overview is what I'm going to go on. So rectangle is the class. Rectangle, I'll say rect A equals new rectangle. And that is the simple way of creating an object of rectangle with a new keyword. Basically, I'm saying that I'm creating a new class. I'm creating a new object of the rectangle class. Now I'm going to use this object and I'm going to set the values. So I'll say rect dot length. I will say the length as length equals to, I will say the length equals to 70, and rect a dot width equals to 50. Now I'm going to run two methods. Okay, I can access all the class members that are basically the object. Using the object of the class, I can use all the class members with something called as dot notation. So I'm going to just say using dot notation. Dot notation. We can access class members. Okay, so we are accessing, there are multiple ways we can access. We are accessing class members. Just give me a second. Okay, so we are accessing the class members, and now I'm going to simply use the same mechanism to call the methods as well. So rect a dot is okay. Now if rectangle, not is rectangle, if rectangle, and rect a dot if square. So I initially, what I did here is pretty simple. I have initialized, I have instantiated the object of rectangle class. The object name is called rect A. I am passing some values into the variables that are the part of rectangle class, 70 and 50. And then I am simply calling the method if rectangle and if square to basically check what the calculation has to say. Now, if I run them, it says it is a rectangle, but it is not a square. Correct? I can create n number of objects like that. I can simply say rectangle rect B equals new rectangle. Okay, and then I say what? Rect B dot length equals say 50, and similarly rect B dot width 50 as well. And then I'm going to call the same methods again for rect B. Please make sure that you are using the right object. Okay, why so? I will talk about that later on. If you are using the incorrect object, then you will get incorrect result. And why so? I will talk about that later on. Okay. So I'm just going to run this, and it says it is not a rectangle, the second part of it. It is a square. Okay. This is how a class works. I mean, initially, this is what I wanted to show you, but there is a whole lot of a class that is discussion that I need to actually give you to make you understand what is class and what is an object and how they are different and how many ways we can access the class members. Total one class will go on that almost, but this is what I wanted to show you, yeah, for now. Okay, any doubts on this, please? Any doubts, guys? If you're not interactive, Satish and rest of the team, then it's impossible for me to figure out whether you are understanding or not. I would really suggest that you come on audio, express your concern, and let me know your problem. Only then this can be effective for you and me both. Otherwise, it'll be just me speaking and not the other way around. How about others? How about other guys? We have Pavan here. We have Sunny here. Sunny, Pavan, Sunny. Sunny, please confirm if you're understanding. If not, I'll repeat. Just give me a minute. Okay, sorry. Now let's see what we have here. Go back to the slide. Okay, so we spoke about class instance. Okay, so now we are all here to learn automation. So let's talk about some automation. I'm going to start talking on Selenium, and then we will see what we can else cover today. Just hang on for 1 minute. Okay, so what is Selenium? As per a very basic definition, it is a browser automation tool. That's all. Okay, we use it for web test automation. This is because the automation requires us to control the browser. Activities like opening, closing, navigating, interacting with the objects is what Selenium is expert with, right? So that is what we are trying to learn here. And that is the basic understanding of what is Selenium. How to download and configure Selenium, we will understand that. First, let's download two different libraries. One is this guy. If I go to the Selenium page, I have Selenium standalone server. You can download this particular server itself, and this one jar file will be more than enough for you to work with. Just give me a second. I think Aditya, okay, that's fine. So we can download the Selenium standalone server from this particular location. That is one thing. Second thing is we also have to download one more stuff, which is called as Chrome driver. Okay, what is Chrome driver? Here you can go to the Chrome driver and you can download the Chrome driver, which is the stable release. This guy. Okay, download it. So once you download it, they are both, one is a jar file and one is a exe file. You have to download them both and you have to configure them to your project so that you can use it. So the idea is the fact that, okay, why you need the Selenium jar file. So what is a jar file? Let's try to understand that. Jar file is basically a collection of libraries or collection of hundreds and thousands of class files, all compiled, and then a jar gets created. Now, suppose you are creating a project. You are going to give this project as a library to your friend so that he can use your project and then build another application on top of your project. So he will use your projects as a dependency to his project and then start building the program on top of it. So that is basically a jar file. You're basically getting the jar file of Selenium standalone. You're going to add that to the project, and then you're going to start working on them, right? Chrome driver, on the other hand, is a exe file, which is basically used in order to interact with the Chrome version, Chrome browser, more or less. So how exactly it happens, we will go through that in a while. But first, let us download it. I think I have already downloaded it. Let me just check. Yeah, I think I have already downloaded it, these two. I'm just going to copy it to my folder. Okay, so I'm going to copy these two to my folder and then I'm going to use it. How to use it, I will talk about that in a while. But let's go to the next step. Including Selenium in the project, let's first do that. We can create a project first and then we can add that to the Java build path and add external jars, right? Go to the class path and add external jars. Very simple step. So I'll go back to my project there and then I'm going to say, so this is my project already. In the project, I'm going to go to my Java build path and then configure build path. And then inside the libraries, I'm going to add the external jar, right? Which is nothing but the Selenium standalone jar. Okay, apply and close. So that is done. The first step is done, configuring the Selenium for the project. Now, the second thing is Chrome driver. Chrome driver is a class that represents Chrome browser instance in Selenium bindings. So we use that to launch the browser and navigate to a page. So basically what you're doing is you are directly hitting the Chrome driver exe that I'm going to set up in my project to ideally launch the browser and then interact with all the elements within the browser. So Chrome driver.exe is very much required if you want to work with a application that runs on Chrome. As simple as that. So we will be using a Chrome driver the same way I have just shown you how to interact, how to create an instance of a class. So Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver. You are going to create an object of Chrome driver, and then we're going to work on it. That's that. So what is Selenium architecture? We will try to understand this now, and then probably we will write some program. Okay. On the very left-hand side, you see that there's a test. Okay, that is the actual Selenium test. And in between, there is something called as driver, which is nothing but your Selenium WebDriver instance. So when you start interacting with your Selenium WebDriver instance, your Selenium WebDriver instance launches a REST API endpoint. A REST API endpoint which listens to all the events that a test is firing at it. And when the test is firing at it, it is firing using something called as JSON wire protocol. What is JSON wire protocol? It is a very simple thing. If you guys already have seen a JSON file, then it's fine. But let me show you what is a JSON looks like. So more or less, JSON looks like this. Okay, it is a way you can send some data in a key value pair to one end to the other end, from one end to the other end. So description quarter, mode required, name qtier, type string. This is a data block that you are sending from somewhere to somewhere, right? So this is basically a JSON format. This is a JSON formatted data. So when your test starts executing, your test will be all the events that you're trying to fire, which is like .click, .send keys, or any such events that is supported by Selenium WebDriver. When you fire at them, fire at the endpoint, it will be converted to a JSON-based data, and it will be sent to the REST API endpoint. The REST API endpoint then will be interacting with the browser, the actual browser that you will be launching through your command like Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver. It will interact with that. It will perform that event or action in the browser. It will get a response back from the browser. That response will come to the driver, and eventually that response will be sent back to the test. So you will know if the event that you have tried to execute is completed or not. It is a REST API endpoint that gets, that comes in between as a messenger, which moves the data from one end to the other end. Can you guys please confirm you understand this architecture? Because it's very, very crucial, especially for somebody who is looking for a job change. Because this is one of the most asked question comes, and you need to probably explain the interviewer pretty well that how it is happening. And for your own understanding as well, you should know that how Selenium works. It uses something called as JSON wire protocol, and who is basically opening the endpoint. You should know that. Please confirm you understand this. Because we don't have much time. Please let me know if you are understanding this. If you're understanding it, then it's okay. Otherwise, I'll repeat the section again. Sorry, are you able to hear me? I'm not getting any response back. Are you able to hear me, guys? Hello?
Yes, yes, we are able to hear you.
Yeah, but I'm not getting any response in the chat, so I was thinking what's going on. Can you please confirm if you're understanding the section I explained? Satish, Sunny, are you understanding it? Okay. So moving on to the next part of the slide. We'll talk about the HTML structure. See, the point is pretty simple here that I am trying to touch base on every small little topic so that you can understand what to expect out of the demo or out of the entire class or out of the entire course content, and you can be comfortable, right, to join. That's what I'm trying to do. So this is an HTML structure. I'm just not going on every topic in details. I'm touch basing on everything for now. So we just have dev tools. I'm just seeing what else we have in the layer. I mean, in that slide. Okay, finding an element, web element. I think that's pretty much about it. So we'll quickly complete it. What is an HTML? HTML is something that is we deal with every day. It is a normal hypertext markup language, which is a language that we use to build a normal web page. Every HTML page will have a structure. We will go over it in details, but for now you can understand that we have a HTML root that starts with HTML, and then we have a body, and then we have ideally that is what we have, HTML and body, and then we have something called as head as well. But in the body we are going to put in our main page components like paragraphs and links and buttons and whatnot. So that is basically a HTML that we will be dealing with in a daily basis. And then we have something called as dev tools. It is very important for you to understand what is a dev tool, because that will come in handy for many things when you are testing any application. So for example, if I just go to any website, maybe Amazon, okay, so in the Amazon website, if I want to understand what's going behind the scene, I'll go and hit F12 in my keyboard, or I can also come from the right hand side settings, sorry, more tools, and then developer tool. You can also do that. But anyway, I'm in the dev tool section, and as I have mentioned here, the DevTools are present in Chrome, Firefox, Edge, everywhere. You can open that by F12. And also you can basically right click on the object or the element and use inspect option to open the DevTools. Once you're opening the DevTools, you will basically have elements, console, sources, network, performance, memory, application security, audits. There are many different tabs that are available. I'll just quickly go through all these tabs once so that you're comfortable. So elements tab is pretty simple. It shows all the elements of the HTML elements in the current web page. Console basically shows different logs that are coming out of a JavaScript execution. Sources basically shows the entire page object or the page source. Network shows all the network requests that you are sending to the page. Performance basically gives you a performance measure of the page. So for example, if I go back to my section here, and if I go to the network tab, right? And if I just clear my network tab totally, and say, for example, I am clicking on any link to this deal, right? You see that there are n number of network requests that are sent, okay? That are sent. So you can basically look into that and see the difference between what is expected, what is not, what kind of status you are getting, who is giving 200, who is giving 400. There is something 300 I saw somewhere. So these are different stuff. You can see what type of request it is. It is a XHR call, which is a JavaScript call actually. So those are those things that you can look at in the network tab. Then we have something called as performance tab. Sources will basically give you from where exactly all these are coming in, right? So Selenium IDE. Okay. Why it is not showing me the page sources? Yeah, so more or less you can see this kind of sources here. I have to probably drill down a little bit to see where is the actual source listed. But yeah, that's pretty much about it in the source tab. Console is basically a JavaScript console. You can say something like, you know, alert, me. If you do that, you see that I'm getting an alert created. So there's a console where you can execute your JavaScript more or less. If you have anything like that, elements is the ideal place where we will be actually finding or inspecting all our elements. And then we have performance tab, where you can basically look at the performance of a particular application if you want to measure that. It'll take some time to get that through. Yeah, so you see that it's kind of it's a performance measure that will come up here. I mean, we don't have to really deal with that. Just good to know features, right? All right, so that's pretty much about what DevTools has to offer. Moving on to the HTML tags. There are different type of tags that we are going to deal with. Anything that you see in the arrow brackets are basically your HTML tags. There are different type of tags, like input tags are for buttons and text boxes. Anchor tag means select tag means drop down boxes, so on and so forth. We will see there. We will be running through all the different tags that are available. Image tag, button tag, many more of those, right? So we will take a look at that. And then we have something called as attributes. We have tags and attributes. So I'll give you a live example. If I go back to my code here, I'll stop the DevTools. I'll go to the element section there. And say, for example, this particular element here, if I inspect it, you can see that it is of type input type. and it has an attribute called ID. There are multiple attributes it has. It has type text, ID, to tab, search text box, name tab, name attribute, autocomplete, class attribute, dir attribute, index attribute. So this is the tag, this is the attribute that we will be working with, right? The combination of these two will create a unique XPath for us, or a locator for us, which we will be using in our test. As simple as that. So moving on to the slide. Different type of attributes: ID, name, class, href. Now, depending on what kind of tag you're working with, you will see attributes attached to it. So for example, if you have an anchor, then it is likely to have a href tag attached to it. Okay, you cannot have a href tag with the input box. So it's a combination of structure that you will understand later on. So finding element by Selenium is what we will be doing. So it's a very simple command that we will be using called driver.findElement by ID, and that is the ID that you will get as a part of your attribute of the HTML tag, and you will use that, and then you will be able to run them through. You will be able to find the element, and you will be able to work with them. So what I will do is I will quickly run a program on Selenium so that you are comfortable with that section as well. So new class, I'm just going to set test Selenium. I will simply write a very simple function there with the main method. The first step that you need to definitely perform is to to add the Selenium standalone server dependency into your project. That's one thing. Second thing that you are expected to do is you're expected to create an object of any WebDriver. So for example, we have used Chrome here. So we'll say Chrome driver, Chrome equals new Chrome driver, right? That's what we want to say. And if I say that, it is giving me some error and asking me to import the Chrome driver into the class, because it is added to the part of the project, obviously, but it is not yet added to the part of this particular class. So you have to add this import statement, which will then import the Chrome driver into the class. So this is basically the package org openqa selenium.chrome. This is the package inside which we have a class called Chrome driver, and that is what is basically pointing to this particular class that has got imported, which is residing inside your actual Selenium standalone jar file. So if you actually open up the reference library here, you can see that we have Selenium standalone jar. If I open that up, you can see there are hundreds of them. And if you actually follow this path, you will be able to see that there is a Chrome driver class. Let's try to run this particular program and see what happens, okay? So run as Java application. And immediately I get an exception saying that illegal state exception. It's saying the path to driver executable must be set, okay, by webdriver.chrome.driver system property, and that's where you can trigger your execution. You have to first tell where exactly is the location of your Chrome driver exe file. So I'm going to add an additional statement here saying system dot set property, and inside that I'll say this is the value which Chrome driver will understand. It will look this is the property value which Chrome driver will understand, and it will just get the exe file from from the location I'm trying to submit here. So where exactly it is, let me try to go to LearnBay. And inside this, I have ChromeDriver.exe, right? Simple and straight. So I'll go put it here and then say ChromeDriver.exe. And that's pretty much about it. If I run the program now, I should be able to launch the Chrome driver. You see the Chrome driver is launching in port 8891. And if I just show you, the blank Chrome driver just launched without any problem. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll simply go ahead and modify the program a little bit. I'm going to go to the Amazon website. So there is a command to navigate or launch the application. So I'll say chrome.get, and then I just say the URL value there, the HTML URL value there, which is this guy. So that's this, and it is done. And once I'm done with that, I should be able to launch it. Once I'm able to launch it, I should be able to also interact with the elements there in the page. So this is my element. It has an ID called 2-tab search box. I'm going to simply use a command called chrome.findElement. So this is what IntelliSense is. If I click dot, it gives me suggestions, right? It gives me hundreds of suggestions that is applicable to this particular object, and you just got to select it. You don't have to remember everything. This is what an IDE will give you. So Chrome dot find element by, sorry, come on, dot find element by ID. And then I'm just going to use the name of the ID, which is this. And then I'm going to say dot send keys. Send keys is a method using which you can enter some value inside that input box and say, I want to search for 1 + 6. Okay. And once I'm done with that, I want to also click on a button, which is the search button. And the search button is nothing but it is pointing me to the div. Ideally, this is the search button, input typed, submit, value, go, right? So I can just simply create a XPath with it. I will give you one single class on XPath. That will be like an end-to-end understanding of it. But for now, just see what am I doing. Chrome.findElement by XPath, and then this syntax you will probably not understand, or maybe you will, but I'm just trying to create a locator here, that's all. So at value equals go. That's the element dot click. So pretty simple command here. I'm trying to enter some data, text in the input box, and then click on the button to perform the search, and that's that. What else do I have? Let me go to the project, slide here. So that is that's pretty much about it. Entering a text with the element, which I have covered, and that's the end of it, more or less. Let me run this, and then we will see what's going on here. So you see that I have entered the data and clicked on the search button, which got me the result here. Yeah, we can do a lot more things with Selenium commands. We will run through all of them in our end-to-end tutorial. But this is what I wanted to show you for now as a part of demo. A couple of questions that I want to ask. I want to know from you guys individually. I want you to come on audio. It is really important for me to come on audio. Let me know if you are happy with a couple of things here. That is, first, the course content that I've spoken about. Second, the way I'm delivering my content. Third, the pace that I'm using to deliver the content, and the examples that I'm taking to deliver the content. I want you to share your feedback with me on the call. So, is that possible? Can I unmute you and can you give me your feedback? Pavan, can I start with you?
Yeah, I'm okay with the way of explaining and the examples that you've taken till now. I'm happy with that. So, like, I'm a bit concerned about the course content that you have. So, can we have much more advanced topics like Docker and CI/CD part? So,
as I told you, in 30 hours course, when I'm starting the class from very beginning of the project, in 30 hours, it is not possible for me to cover up Docker or CI/CD. It's impossible.
It's okay. It's just a concern, like I want, because I'm a mid-level guy. Like, I have 3+ years of experience as of now. So, for me, the questions will be more of framework designing part and how.
So when I say framework design, you will definitely understand the framework design, dependency management, framework design, how to understand your framework requirements, what type of framework is required and when do you need them. All in all will be covered, but in terms of your CI/CD and Docker, no, that is not there. But your framework implementation, end-to-end framework implementation is a part of the course.
Can you share me any best content that you know that I can refer for CI/CD and Docker? Any online content?
Yeah, definitely. There are hundreds of them. I mean, there are hundreds of YouTube videos also available that shows you how to start with a CI/CD pipeline. So that is I can help you with that. That's not the problem. The problem is, I mean, ideally, what I want to tell you is that we are covering in terms of basic to advanced till your framework implementation, right? Just not beyond that. So Sunny, can I get your feedback? Sunny, can I get your feedback? Can I ask you to come on online, please? Okay, let me unmute you. I'm not able to unmute you. Can you write me your concern or feedback? What do you mean by advanced examples, Sunny? I mean, in terms of the demo content that I have now, that I've prepared for today's class, I try to keep it simple because there could be multiple people coming from various backgrounds who doesn't understand anything about programming. So I try to keep it simple. So as and when we gain more knowledge on it, automatically the examples will be more advanced. Good stuff. Thank you. So, Sunny, when exactly will be the next class? You have to probably talk to LearnBay, administrative team. They will get back to you. and then we can take it forward from there. I'm not exactly sure that when exactly will be the next class. Is it going to be the next week, or it will be a weekdays? I don't know that, but they will get in touch with you. We will fix up a proper time, and then we can start from there. Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Sunny. Thank you, Pavan. Thank you for joining, and have a good weekend. Let's meet. I don't know, maybe if possible next week, maybe. Thank you. Bye bye.